So for this step, you would want to make 2 circles. The first one will be 28 centimeters. The middle one will be 6.5 centimeters. Do not copy the middle one because I made mine a little bit bigger. So I would just say make it 6.5. But all the other steps, you want to go ahead and follow those steps to make the beret. Cut the middle out because you're going to then cut out 2 pieces on the fabric and then cut out the middle again on the fabric. So watch this step. So next we're going to cut out, take a skirt that you already have to cut it out and make sure you leave a little room on the sides because we will be taking the skirt in once we sew. And what I did, the finished edge of the blanket, that's where I cut the skirt. So that way I didn't have to make a hem on the side. And then now I had already cut out my triangle pieces for the top. So you guys will be able to see how I made that pattern on another video. But long story short, all you have to do is just make the pattern with the triangles. Just take maybe a bra for your size or just measure your bust to know how big you need the triangle to be. And then the finished edges of the blanket, the remaining, I just went ahead and cut those off to use for the strings. You're going to need 6 strings in total for the side of the skirt. And you'll be able to see that once we get to that step. But just make sure you cut those strings out. And you're going to also need 3 strings for your top. Do 1 long string and then 2 strings that's the same length. So now we're going to do a 5/8 seam allowance and we're going to sew the side that is not finished. But also you can do this to your liking. If you want the skirt a little bit loose, don't do a 5/8. And then you're going to just cut the excess fabric off after you sew. Try it on. And now we're going to start putting the beret together. Make sure you cut that middle piece out. And again, right sides together. Sew around the edges. You can do about, I want to say 1/4, because you don't want to shrink the hat to where it's too small. But this part that you see me doing now with the lining fabric, I was initially going to just put lining material in the hat and in the skirt, but I didn't do that. I just put the lining in the top. All of the extras wasn't necessary, but if you want to put the lining, you're more than welcome to do that. It's so optional. So about 1/4, and then just sew around the edges. And I recommend going a little slow when you're doing circles. And now you're going to attach your strings. Make sure right sides are together with the strings in the skirt, because you basically, what you're doing on this step is creating seams with the strings. So you don't want to make a mistake and do it backwards, because then the strings are going to be, the wrong side is going to show basically. So just make sure your right sides together. And then what I did was I backstitched and I went over it a few times before I completed it, because I didn't want the strings to come off, just to secure it. So now we're going to do the top, and you need to also have the lining pieces cut out. So right sides together again. And you want to just sew the two sides and the top, leaving the bottom of the top open, because you're then going to put your strings in there. And you're going to see exactly how I'm going to do that step right here. Put the string through the bottom. And really, this step I did wrong, but it's okay because I didn't mess anything up. But just make sure you start sewing from the bottom to the top and then back to the bottom, just to make it easier, so you don't have to keep pulling the needle out of the machine and cutting, and it just takes up time. You don't have to do it that way. So now you see how it looks when you pull the string out. It's going to look like this. And then now for the longer string that's going to tie up, you want to do right sides together, because now we're going to close up the bottom of the bikini top. So it's going to be right sides together. So once you make that stitch, all you're going to do is flip the fabric to where the right side is now showing, if you get what I mean. It's hard to explain, but like once you guys like see, the end result, it'll start clicking. And here's the end result.